7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother. What we do here is go back.
Hey everyone, I think we're good to go now. This is Steven Jensen. I'm here with Jessi Davin. We're going to be talking AEW All Out. This show was absolutely insane. Got a lot to talk about. Going to be going for an hour or so today. So, as always, if you want your voices heard, if you want your comments out there, you want your questions answered, make sure to send a super chat. You can do that right through YouTube, or you can send a donation. Link is in the description. Both work the same. Your message goes up on the screen, and we'll make sure to read it out or to answer your question. All the audio will go on the Fight Talk podcast feed tomorrow as well, so all the audio listeners can hear your questions and your statements and all that as well. Before we get into this show, because there's a lot to talk about, Jessi, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm on cloud 9 right now. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan for sure. Just a heads up, everybody. I'm not in the live chat. I was trying to get in there, but the video started playing. My computer broke, so I'm on my phone. So I can't really see anything. I just we had a super chat really quick. I'm trying to get in there, but okay, here. Hold on.
Got it.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. I'm in the chat now, I think. Let me just make sure I can mute it. I don't know. Anyways, well, I'll figure it out. But yes, what a show. Holy cow. What a time to be alive.
Oh yeah, like I've been saying on Twitter so often lately, like this is the best time to be a wrestling fan in history. Like I understand the argument for the mid to late '90s in early 2000s. Like I totally get that. Like I lived through it. I'm 33. Just for anyone watching, like I'm 33 years old. I started watching wrestling in like 1994 is when I can remember like being invested in wrestling. The like Hulk Hogan Dungeon of Doom feud in WCW. Like I was 6 years old. I remember that very well. But like the Monday Night Wars were awesome, right? But there was
Yeah.
still a lot of stuff like it's hard to compare the two, but like access some people think the accessibility to wrestling now, like myself for instance, I think now's the best time because like you can get any wrestling show you want at the click of a finger. Like it's all right there, and there's so many options, and the level of athletes are like what you're seeing in the ring right now, in my opinion, is more impressive than what we were seeing back in the '90s. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of pros to right now. There are some people that are old school fans that preferred the older days because like it wasn't as accessible. Like they had to like go out of their way to tape trade and all this stuff, which is cool, but like not nearly as convenient if you just want to like binge wrestling.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I mean, yeah, it's true, and I think that the level of accessibility internationally as well, I think, is also kind of a big deal. Like I can watch like a New Japan show. Like there's so much more of a buffet of selections for professional wrestling right now that just makes it such a great time to be a fan.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, like back in the day, like to even in like the early 2000s, a lot of the shows before like live streaming really became prevalent, like and like everyone was doing it. Even back then, like even like Ring of Honor, which at the time was the biggest indie promotion easily back in like the early 2000s, they even back then up until like I can't remember the year it changed over, probably the early 2010s, but they
Hmm.
had you could like you had to wait months to watch their pay-per-views. Like you had to get it on DVD or go through like high spots
Yeah,
or RF video or like shoot interviews and all this stuff. It just wasn't I mean, it was way more accessible than it was back in like the 80s and 90s. But
Ring of Honor shows up on like my cable television.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, they still. I mean, this Ring of Honor is a whole other conversation in itself. But like,
Yeah,
but I don't know how they do such a bad job of marketing their show because it's free on their website every week. Like you can literally just go on ringofhonor.com and just watch their 1 hour weekly show for free whenever you want. But but they don't do a good job of advertising that, and I think a lot of people are like don't even know where to watch Ring of Honor. But it's like if they were just really pushing through their social media, go to ringofhonor.com, watch it for free. You can because
right.
the sad thing is they have a really good roster, and
They do.
the stories make sense and the matches are good. Like everything I like out of wrestling, Ring of Honor does. Just very few people are paying attention to the show, and they've been really hurt by not having crowds. That hasn't helped.
Yeah.
Um, but that all said, let me hit a couple of these super chats real quick before we get into the all out conversation. First one we had was from Matt Reichel. He said, or Reichel, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but thank you very much, Matt. He says, "Good morning, guys. Just got home from Chicago. I'm still on cloud nine, baby." Yeah,
Wow, that congratulations! You saw an all timer of a pay per view, Matt. Thank you.
yeah. And Matt, I'm going to ask you. Let us know in the chat. Don't have to super chat it. Just let us just a response if you're still here. Did you attend GCW or Black Label Pro or any of the other indie stuff that was going on over the weekend? Because there was, I mean, the GCW show the night before All Out from Saturday night. Um,
Was
that
off.
was, yeah, that was like, I mean, All Out was better, which we're gonna talk about, but All Out was also like one of the best pay per views I've ever seen.
Yeah.
GCW was like way up there too, though, on Saturday night. I mean, there was really good stuff. So
Yeah.
thank you, Matt. Appreciate that a lot. Um, and yeah, keep feeling free to interact in the chat. Kenny, that bastard with the super chat, says, "Morning, you two need to watch All Out today since I am not busy with work or college and seeing me some GCW as well. Also, break to AEW soon. Gotta love it." So
Ooh.
he's basically saying he needs to catch up on All Out today. and watch some of GCW.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much, Kenny, that bastard.
Yeah, for sure. Matt, I see in the chat you said GCW was insanity. Did you attend live? Because that atmosphere was odd. I wish I could have been to both shows. I kind of regret not going to Chicago at this point because like
Me
that.
too.
Yeah, that was.
Even though there's no feasible way I could have made it work.
Yeah, and I had too much going on my end as well. But that looked like yeah, this was a great weekend for professional wrestling.
Yes.
As far as All Out, so I feel like we might as well just like start at like the big stuff and then work down because I think that's what most people are gonna want to hear about. Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard to have this conversation without talking about some of the bigger stuff. So we'll go ahead and just throw this right out there. I'll pull this up. I got a little page here for Wikipedia.
Hey, did you watch Effie's Big Gay Brunch? Is that on IWTV?
That's on Fight TV.
Oh, it's on Fight TV?
Oh, actually, yeah, it's on Fight TV. It's on Fight TV.
Okay.
Pretty much anything GCW related at this point is Fight TV. But I haven't watched the show yet. That was yesterday afternoon. I haven't had a chance to watch that yet.
Apparently it was really good too.
Oh, I'm sure. All those events are good. They're different usually. Like you're gonna get a kind of a very mixed bag. Some people get kind of shocked at the things they see on those shows, but
Yeah.
that they're very entertaining. The crowd, the live crowd, eats it up. A couple more super chats. We got one from Mike Jones. Says Bucks. Thank you, Mike. Bucks says Bucks, Omega, and Cole versus Bryan. Bucks, Omega, and Cole. Oh, versus Bryan and a Jurassic Express and Christian Cage and Arthur Ashe. Talking a 6-man. Oh, that'd be sick. I'm definitely down for that.
That's a good idea. That would be awesome. I feel like they need to do something big for that Arthur Ashe show since they kind of gave away all the surprises tonight or last night. I know Bryan Danielson was supposed to debut there, but things happen and things change. But I fully have faith in AEW to make that Arthur Ashe stadium show absolutely worth it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, there's still other people that they can debut at Arthur Ashe that are still going to be a big deal. But yeah, good idea, Mike. I like the idea of that 6-man match, and they set up like clearly. I think one of Adam Cole's first big feuds is going to be Jungle Boy, based on what I saw last night, and based on the interview afterwards.
Yeah.
Huh?
I said, yeah, and based on what he said afterwards as well, yeah.
Yeah, he did the all those I was calling post fight interviews because of the UFC for those post match post show interviews. Deshaun Turner with super chat says Vince and then quotes, "Hey Mark, need you tomorrow, need help." I'm assuming you mean the Undertaker.
Yeah, probably.
I've said this 1,000 times. I think we're gonna get Undertaker versus Sting in AEW one day.
You really think that?
Yep. He won't be able to be called the Undertaker unless he like somehow gets the rights to that, which he a couple of like the bigger WWE stars like Steve Austin can use Stone Cold outside of the WWE. The Rock has like joint rights with the WWE to use the name The Rock and stuff like that. I think Hulk Hogan just straight up owns Hulk Hogan. I don't think WWE can do anything about that. So there's it's. But regardless, everyone knows who the Undertaker is. Like, you can call him Dead Man or whatever you want to, and people are going to know who it is. But I really think that, I know people think I'm crazy when I bring it up, but because everyone's like, well, you know, Undertaker's too loyal, and it's like, well, loyalness kind of gets thrown out the window if Tony Khan calls you and goes, hey, we want to do the one match you never got to have, you and Sting. We're going to give you like $2 million to do a 10-minute entrance and a 5-minute match. You know what I mean? Like, who's going to say no to that? Like,
Money walks, bullshit walks.
Yeah. So, anyway, that all being said, will The Undertaker maybe come back? Probably. I mean, that's what WWE does. They just retread. Like, think about the buzz of, like, Brock Lesnar coming back in comparison to the buzz of everything we're seeing in AEW. It's not even close.
Yeah.
Like, they just keep going back to the well and bringing... And John Cena was a temporary solution. Like, he's gone again. Like, yeah, so anyway, Yeah, Undertaker's too loyal. People are saying, I get it, but people thought that Mark Henry was loyal and Big Show was loyal and all these people. I mean, Bryan Danielson, everyone thought was
Yeah.
going to be an AEW lifer, and I mean, granted, the Undertaker's on a different level. Like when it comes to that company, Undertaker's like probably the most respected person to ever work for the WWE, and him and Vince have a very special bond. But like, there's a lot of loyalty that gets thrown out the window because think about it, if Undertaker wants to wrestle, if Vince doesn't want Undertaker wrestling, but Undertaker wants to wrestle, and someone's going to let him wrestle and give him a lot of money, and he can have matches that he's never had before in his career against people who are going to make him look really good. Like, if he wrestled Darby Allin would just fly around the ring for him. I mean, it'd be incredible. Undertaker would barely have to do anything.
Right.
Like, I
Especially
mean,
that young talent that they have there over in AEW.
yeah, exactly. So
Don't put him in Goldberg.
yeah, I forgot about that completely. Yeah, you have Goldberg over on the other show. Like that's their big returns. And then like you look at what AEW is doing, and the internet's just exploding over what's happening with AEW. Anyway, the point. Thank you very much for the super chat. That was from Deshaun. So thank you, Deshaun, for the super chat. I could be here all day talking about who I think may leave next and all that stuff. But yeah,
It certainly feels like last night. If CM Punk was definitely, to me, a game changer. Like that was such a earth-shattering moment. But let's be real, we all knew that he was never going to go back to WWE. Like, come on, we all knew that. But last night, ending that show, Adam Cole walks out. Well, first Ruby Soho appears, which was great, and she just immediately was over. You were kind of like, man, they really, that other company really dropped the ball with her, but I'm really glad she's here now. And, you keep going with the show. The show's incredible. Hit, no misses. And then to end the show, you have Adam Cole walk out, immediately turns heel, joins the Elite. Like he never even left. He's back from the dead. It's absolutely great. He fits right in. You're like, man. And we all know how much WWE really, really wanted to keep Adam Cole. And then all of a sudden, goodbye and good night. All of a sudden, final countdown. Bryan Danielson comes out. It felt like such a blow to WWE. But more importantly, honestly, I could give less of a rat's ass about what WWE does at this point, because AEW is for the fans. And at this point, it's an insult to AEW to even like compare them to WWE. Like they are just they're doing what the fans want. And it's so refreshing, and it is an alternative. I don't think it's a middle finger to WWE. I just think it's for the fans. And I think that that's the most important thing, is wrestling is fun again. I mean, last night was fun as hell. I was having so much fun last night. It really does bring life into the hobby that seemed dead in the water just like a couple years ago. And I'm so grateful and thankful for it. And I'm so grateful and thankful to all the AEW talent who put on just an absolutely incredible show last night.
Yeah, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. AEW is listening to the fans. And one of us is running the company. I mean, I can't stress that enough. Tony Khan being in charge is like, that's the key to all of this being possible. Like, he's a guy in his 30s with access to billions of dollars that basically has the same mind for wrestling I do. So it's like when he just able to put this stuff on television for everybody, which is just incredible. One thing I need to mention, because you mentioned the final countdown. Unfortunately, Daniel Bryan didn't come out to the final countdown. But
it was I know I wanted to say I was like still fantasy booking it in, but it was definitely not the final countdown. I'm sure that song is expensive, but it was like a knock on it in sort of a way.
There was the beginning of that WWE theme music, because that's public domain.
Sure.
So
I mean, it was kind of a banger, but it wasn't.
You can tell the beat of it is like, if they want to go with Daniel Bryan doing the yes chants, it's almost like it almost has the same kind of tempo or beat of like Matt Riddle's song, where it's like, it's real easy to go bro to it, where like the Daniel Bryan one would be really to go yes, 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 yes to like the I could tell that's why the beat is how it is. But the thing with Final Countdown is like, would it have made it even better? Sure, because like it's such an epic entrance music that like we just haven't seen him come out to since he signed with the WWE. But like there, like you said, I mean, obviously they attempted it, so like who knows if it was like a perfect example is there's a song called Jane that Orange Cassidy used on the Indies.
Couldn't get it right.
Yeah, like AEW reached out to the band or the label, whoever was actually owns the song, for a year straight and just never heard back. So then they wound up just going with that "Where's My Mind" song because that band got right back to them. So they were like, you know what, this is a good song. So we're gonna go with this instead. We're not gonna wait around for this Jane song to get cleared. But then there's other ones like Ruby Soho's music that's licensed. There's a lot of them now. Obviously, they're the ones that we've been seeing, and you know, Jungle Boy and CM Punk and everything. Like, it's pretty awesome. So you know that they made the attempt for sure to get the song.
They had to make an.
I would hate to hear that Europe didn't want to be involved though. If that was like, because like they haven't done anything in so long, that band. Like you would feel that you
relevant.
Yeah, like you would think that they would just want it out there because like they'd make a lot of money off of it too to have it used on AEW. So I don't know. I don't know what happened there. I think Bryan Danielson will probably get new music. I think this was done probably pretty quickly.
Yeah, Mikey Ruckus is a magician, but he's no miracle worker, you know.
Yeah, and I'm always happy for that dude because I think he does really hard work.
Lucha Bros entrance.
That was him? Was that him?
That was him rapping first.
Oh, I didn't even put that together. That totally makes sense. I didn't even realize that was. I know him through Twitter, but like I've never like seen him before. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, and that entrance was great. That live so entrance. Good.
You know what? Okay, I want to talk about that for a second, really quick. Mm-hmm. That, to me, that entrance by the Lucha Bros was such a brilliant move by AEW, and here's why. I think a lot of people, we love the Lucha Bros. Don't get me wrong, they're great. We all knew this match was going to be a banger. It ended up being one of the greatest tag team matches I've ever seen, and it was absolutely incredible. And they ended up getting the win, right? Cool, awesome. However, they were I feel like they kind of would have been booed just a little bit because people really wanted Jurassic Express to be in that spot. I feel like there was a lot of people, not a huge amount, but a lot of people that really wanted Jurassic Express in that. And, you know, the Lucha Bros are kind of heelish. I mean, you know, they're just they're badass. They're kind of rebels. And I feel like, you know, Jurassic Express is such a babyface team. So I think by having them have that just amazing badass entrance, and then to have the Young Bucks just come out and do their stupid shtick, you know, like the heels that they are, really established the Lucha Bros as the baby faces of this match and really got the crowd behind them. I mean, my God, did the crowd get behind them. And then to have them win, they get that huge babyface pop. I think it was awesome.
Yeah. The entrances were like perfect for that match. And Nick Jackson with the like Hulk Hogan style or Scott Steiner style, like bro, he dyed his mustache and the same color of his hair and everything. Like, yeah, that was great. The entrances, the walkout music for Lucha Bros, that was better done than like. Once again, like WWE is one of the few things to compare it to, but like WWE, I don't think does that good of a job usually with that kind of stuff.
That was great.
Yeah, because usually you get like either you get someone who doesn't sound at all like they do recorded when they're doing it live, or they're just lip syncing. So this was like those guys were like clearly performing that song live, and like it sounded great and it was clear and like the energy was up and like it's
organic.
Yeah, for sure. It was just really, really well done. So that's kind of some of like the highlights with like debuts and whatnot. Let's run through the actual show. We've got about I don't even know how long we got, until about a half hour or so. Um, so pre-show we had Best Friends, which was Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, and Yuta and the Jurassic Express of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus over the Hardy Family Office, Matt Hardy Private Party, Hybrid 2, and then we also saw Butcher and Blade.
Yeah.
I guess after the match, like Blade attacked. There was some sort of like fights afterwards. I can't remember exactly how this went, but thought it was a good match and everything. Like, and I expected the Best Friends to win. There's not a whole lot to really talk about, but like this was like just a really, really solid match, and I'm glad that everybody, at least all these people, got to perform in front of that crowd at All Out.
Yeah, I completely agree. That, I mean, it was a perfect kind of buy-in match, and it was. I'm glad it actually got moved. I think it was moved, wasn't it? And I'm glad that the women's casino battle royal got put on the main card, even though that is a typical buy-in match. But I thought this was fine. This was just. It wasn't like anything too special. I missed the end because I was giving Savannah a bath. But yeah, I thought from what I saw, it was really, really fun, and it was fine.
Yeah, good stuff. A lot of great talent there. The actual opener of the show, they kicked it right off with Miro defending and retaining the AEW TNT Championship over Eddie Kingston. Kingston came out first for the night, got a massive pop. Just crazy to see where he's come. I mean, the guy wrestled the Indies for like 2 decades, and you never thought he was gonna like ever actually get a chance. Like, he'd done some stuff with Impact and NWA and stuff. That was really the extent of like his quote unquote like mainstream kind of presence. But it's why, I mean, he's one of the most over guys in the entire company of AEW. It's unreal, and Miro is doing the best work of his career by far right now, in my opinion. So this was all great. How do you feel about Miro retaining here over Eddie Kingston in the opener?
I think it was the right move. I feel like, and I think we talked about this in our preview show, I feel like Miro has clearly established himself as a dominant champion. Kind of like what he was with the United States Championship, only this is like way better. And I feel like he needs to win, even though I love Eddie Kingston and I love everything about Eddie Kingston. I love that he got to come out first and get that initial Chicago pop. I think that was brilliant. I love that. He deserves that. This was a great match. It was a big meaty men slap and meat match. It was fun. It was everything you would have expected. And I feel like that was a lot. That was like kind of a theme of All Out, was everything like was as advertised. It was very much an as advertised pay-per-view, and you definitely got what you pretty much expected out of it, which is kind of scary sometimes when you go into a show with expectations. But as far as expectations for this match, I expected it to be hard-hitting. Miro's chest by the end was like ground beef. Oh my God. Looked like he had been slapped to hell. Looked awesome. Looked really badass. Really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed at the end how Miro seemed like too weak to even like hold the championship. Like, he kept dropping the title. I think that's kind of like a testament to Eddie Kingston and how hardworking he was. I mean, I think the finish was right, but I don't think like you said, I don't think Eddie Kingston like looks bad after this, but it was the right move, and Miro remains a dominant TNT champion.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, yeah, Kingston looked great, and that's the thing with Kingston. He loses most of his big matches in AEW, but he stays super over. So like, he's not really like, he's not losing anything by losing these matches. Like, he stays in a relevant spot on the show consistently. And even if he's not doing it as a singles wrestler all the time, like his allegiance with Moxley, there's always so many options there for Kingston to be involved. So, and yeah, I think it was the right call to have Miro retain. Like, he's doing really good work with the title. They're building him really well. Like I said, this is, in my opinion, this is by far the best Miro's ever looked in his career. So like, just keep rolling with it while you can. And like you were saying about like the predictability, I think there was a lot of predictability, I think, in a lot of the outcomes of the matches, but like, I have no problem with that at all, because they're just delivering. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you can be predictable if your finishes can be predictable if the matches aren't.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I say all the time, good matches, storylines that make sense. It's literally all I want. So like the story makes sense. The story totally made sense. Like everyone expected Miro to win, but like Eddie Kingston also gave you a couple spots there where like you felt like, oh shit, he might actually beat Miro. Like he created enough reasonable doubt with it. So great
I feel
stuff.
like the matches were paced very well too.
Yeah, I agree. Like I didn't realize Miro and Kingston was 13 minutes. Like it seemed shorter, but those guys went out there and it was just nonstop the whole time.
Wow.
Moving on, we had Jon Moxley defeating Satoshi Kojima. This was another really good one. Kind of similar to the Miro Kingston match in the sense that it was really hard hitting.
Felt a lot shorter.
Yeah, but this one also just about a minute shorter than the Miro and Kingston match. But, once again, nobody expected Kojima to beat Moxley, but Kojima looked really damn good in the match. He held his own. So, like, I mean, this was just really solid. Was it what Tanahashi would have brought to the table? Probably not, and that's the only knock you could give this match at all is like.
But I didn't expect it to give what Tanahashi would have given us,
No, I agree. I feel the same way. But there was a lot of fans complaining that it wasn't Tanahashi. That's why I'm saying it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But because that's who it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But Kojima, like, the cool thing about him too is like he's been wrestling for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the AEW crowd, especially the Chicago crowd, they're gonna know who he is. But I think a lot of the audience watching from home might not, especially if they don't watch Impact and haven't watched like All Japan historically and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So this was like a great introduction to Kojima, like because I think the fans that didn't know about him, if you somehow didn't know about Kojima going into this, like I think that leaves you wanting more of seeing him again. So
great advertising for New Japan.
Yeah, great advertising, and for I don't think they have mentioned his stuff with
That's
Impact
right.
at all. But
that's right.
But
Impact, Bill.
But yeah, Christian wore the Impact title too, and I don't think they even mentioned it.
Yeah.
But after the match is really what crazier. So Minoru Suzuki comes out to the ring, and I mean, the great thing is the crowd knew my Japanese is obviously very, very, very bad. But his theme song, there's a part where everyone dun, 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 like they all at the same time, and like they knew it, they knew to do it. Minoru Suzuki is one of my favorite wrestlers ever. Like he's one of my favorite hybrids of a guy who does mixed martial arts and professional wrestling. For people who don't know, like he founded Pancrase Fighting, like which was like before the UFC existed. He's involved in some of the earliest like mixed martial arts stuff ever, and he's still relevant.
Does he have the cool entrances?
What do you?
No. Different. Never mind.
But I mean, he's an absolute legend. Like this guy is like, and him and Moxley have wrestled each other in Japan before, and for them to do it in the U.S., this is going to be incredible. And they're going to make Suzuki like a massive heel. He's going to get a lot of cheers, but they're going to do what they can to make sure that he's like portrayed as the heel in this. And he even his finishing move is he puts someone in a rear naked choke, a standing rear naked, and then like as they're like starting to pass out, he'll turn it into a God style pile driver, and he did that to Moxley last night. So this was all awesome. So yeah, how did you feel about? I mean, obviously, there's a lot to kind of unpack there, but how did you feel about Moxley getting the win over Kojima, even though it was predictable, and then the debut of Minoru Suzuki in AEW?
I thought this whole thing was a banger. It was as advertised, like I said, as expected. You knew that Mox was going to go over, who came out, in a GCW hoodie, by the way.
Oh, yeah, he did. The new GCW champion.
That's
Moxley.
right. We're on an AEW pay-per-view with the GCW world champion who's wrestling someone from New Japan. It's what an incredible time to be a wrestling fan. And, I thought I'm really glad that Minoru Suzuki got the pop that he deserved. I feel like that was definitely, you needed a loyal Chicago crowd like that. I don't feel like you could have done that like on a Dynamite in like Minneapolis. You know, I feel
Yeah.
like a loyal Chicago crowd is going to know exactly who he is and going to give him the recognition and pop for the spot, the finisher that, you know, that he deserves. And I think that it got the reaction that they wanted. And I think, like you said, I think it'll get a lot of eyes on, you know, New Japan. And I feel like it'll get a lot of eyes on Moxley as well. I feel like it's good for business. And I'm really excited. I think aren't they going to wrestle in Cincinnati?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It's gonna be on the homecoming show this week on Dynamite. I forgot they already announced that.
Yeah, that's freaking crazy. Cincinnati, you lucky as heck. You're getting everybody.
Yeah, I wonder because Cincinnati, Ohio, right?
Yeah, it is in Ohio. That's where my husband's from.
And well, the only reason that I'm saying that, I know it's in Ohio, but the reason I'm saying that is because there's a group in
Oh, yes.
GCW called 440.
And you know what? That is not far from Cincinnati. Dayton is not far from Cincinnati.
That's what I'm getting at. Is like I think that there's a chance because it depends on how much they want to overlap the Forbidden Door. But Ricky Shane Page, who's the leader of 440, has done some AEW Dark recently, and he's really good friends with a lot of the people in AEW. And so, like, RSP has an into the company if the company is interested. And it's in Chicago, or it's in Ohio, and they've already announced Moxley versus Nick Gage for October 9th at GCW. That's when their title match is going to happen. But we have about a month before then, and like maybe Nick Gage and Moxley team up against 440, and that storyline bleeds into AEW and GCW. That'd be pretty insane.
That would be nuts.
But then again, I don't know what they're going to do with 440 after War Games. That's the only question mark for me is like,
yeah,
the MDK gang definitively beat 440 in War Games and like finally ended that feud, hopefully. But like, it would be cool. There are certain members of 440 that I'm not like a huge fan of, but as a stable, they're very interesting. And I think RSP could be a really big star, and I think Atticus Kogar could be a really big star out of that group. So, anyway, the reason I brought it up is because it's in Ohio. Like, maybe 440 actually makes an appearance. We'll see. But this was all great stuff. Fucking sorry, didn't mean to cuss there.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. After that, we had Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, retain the AEW World Women's Championship over Chris Statlander. How did you feel about this match? Because I thought it was pretty damn good.
Yeah, I feel like this was Britt Baker's best match, other than the one against Thunder Rosa. I feel like her and Chris Statlander gave us the match that we were supposed to get before, and it was a really, really, really good match. I was really, really happy with it. I felt like the outside interference as well was enough. I liked the dynamic with Orange Cassidy out there, and I really liked this match. I felt like Chris Statlander still looked really, really, really good. She does not look bad in this loss, but Britt Baker retaining, I feel like was the right move.
Yeah, Britt had to win. She hit a Panama Sunrise during the match, so like, yeah, you had to know. I mean, like, obviously they were teasing Adam Cole pretty heavily, like, already, especially like when Adam Cole did the lockjaw on his last NXT match and stuff.
Yeah,
like, you know, the hints were there, but. Yeah, Britt Baker had to win this match, and she did. And she's so over. Like, you can't take the title off her. And the crazy thing about her is, like, she's still, like, if I had to like rank the women in AEW, like from like overall, like not just in the ring or on the microphone, but like overall best to worst, like Britt Baker is still probably like I still think Thunder Rosa is an overall better performer. I still think that Serena Deeb might be an overall, but she's still NWA. But the point is, like, Britt Baker isn't even like completely top tier yet, in my opinion, as far as like complete package. And the reason that I'm so excited about that is because she's already one of the most over people, man, woman, any gender, in the company. So, like, she's already one of the most over people in the whole company, and she hasn't even hit her top level yet. So, like,
even peak.
Yeah, exactly. She hasn't even peaked yet. So, like, when she and it's very little things. Like, it's not like she's still clearly above average, right? Like, I'm not saying she's like just like anyone else. Like, she's very, very good, but like, you can tell there's little things about her game that when she tweaks a little bit here or there, she'll be on that level of like a Thunder Rosa.
For sure.
And she's gonna just only get more and more popular, and only more and more over, and better and better. So, and I can say the same about Statlander. Like, Statlander isn't as over yet, but she's young and she has plenty of time, and she's only gonna keep getting better, and she's already as good as she is now. I can say that about a lot of the AEW roster. They have a lot of people that have not hit their prime yet, but they're already really over. So when they hit their prime, when it all comes together, their overness might be all the way here, but like their prime is like here. Once the two of those things catch up together, that's when these people become like legitimate superstars. Like, not just like wrestling stars, like legitimate superstars that like people recognize outside of the wrestling bubble. Britt Baker has a lot of mainstream appeal. There's I can't say enough good things about it, and I think Statlander, once again, it wouldn't have made sense for her to win this match, but I do think it's interesting how, and I think it's cool, how Orange Cassidy rarely ever communicates with anybody, like, just in general, right? Like, his interviews are usually one word, or nothing at all, or the half thumbs up, and all that stuff. But he has full-on conversations with Chris Statlander.
Yeah, I know. I loved it. I loved Orange Cassidy at ringside. It was the dynamic was so good.
Yeah. It's very interesting. It's interesting because like they're almost like a couple on the show.
Yeah.
And it's so like random because it's like, why would Orange Cassidy be so into Chris Statlander? And I think a big part of it is that she's an alien.
Exactly.
And I think he's like, he like wants to know. He's like curious and like into alien, because even like they had like alien graphics on their original Titantrons for the best friends and stuff. Like, they're just really interested in aliens, so it's like this crazy. Anyway, I love it. Great dynamic.
Yes.
After that, in my opinion, this was the best match of the whole night.
Oh yeah.
We had the Lucha Brothers defeat the Young Bucks to become the AEW Tag Team Champions. We talked about the entrances a little bit earlier, but I mean, just great stuff with the live entrance for the Lucha Bros, and then the Young Bucks doing their thing and coming out and just being just cocky, arrogant jerks that they are. This was pretty damn near perfect as far as a ladder match, and I one thing I like about it is that they didn't overuse jumping off the cage. Like, they pretty much reserved it for like one big spot. And I mean, these guys did everything. I mean, these moves were nuts. The spots were nuts. I had super high expectations for this. I even said, I think in our pre-show, that this would be the best match of the night. I was really looking forward to the Kingston and Miro one for like different reasons, but the most exciting match was going to be this cage match, and they completely delivered. So yeah, how do you feel about this one, Jessi? We got the Young Bucks losing the titles to the Lucha Bros in an incredible cage match.
I think from top to bottom, from beginning to end, this was, like you said, damn near perfect. And I think it's a real testament to AEW when my husband calls me as he gets, because he goes to work at like 4 a.m. He calls me at work at 7 in the morning. He goes, Jessica, I'm a WWE fan through and through. He goes, but that Lucha Bros Young Bucks match was one of the best matches I've ever seen in my life. And when you can win over someone like that, like my husband, it's a real testament to how good this match was. It had pretty much everything I wanted. It had everything I expected. I did not expect the Lucha Bros to win. However, it worked. Like, this match could not lose. This was a really, really good, hard-hitting match. At the end of the day, I was like, man, the Lucha Bros deserve it. Holy shit, what a match. What a moment. Like you said, they didn't overutilize the cage. They didn't make it about the cage. They made the cage work for them in that match, which is, I think, really, really impressive. And it's really, really a testament to just how good the Lucha Bros and the Young Bucks are. And I don't think even as much as I would have loved Jurassic Express to be in this match, I don't think they would have pulled it off like the Lucha Bros did. And I feel like the right team won.
Yeah. I think the Young Bucks losing the titles, like, once again, obviously it doesn't hurt the Young Bucks. They're made men in AEW forever, regardless. The Lucha Brothers, like, this really helps them out because they were already one of the most valuable teams. Because once I've talked about it plenty, but like the fact that you can have either guy do a singles run or match at any point too, like there's so much variety option with the Lucha Brothers with both of those guys. You were mentioning your husband. With my brother, you know, who watches a lot of wrestling but doesn't really like a lot of it, but like he just sees so much of it because he's around me so much. But he's very critical of it. Like, he'll be very vocal about the stuff he doesn't like. Like, he'll really rub it in. Like, because I'll be sitting there enjoying something that he doesn't like, and he'll just tell me how stupid it is or whatever. But he loves the Lucha Bros.
Really?
Yeah, like, to him, like, every time they're on, because they're another one of those teams. It's similar. I bring up Dominic Garrini a lot when I talk about my brother, because Dominic Garrini is this perfect example of a guy on the indies. He's currently injured, but while he's healthy, he's on like everything I watch. So if like my brother's over, I could be watching independentwrestling.tv, I could be watching GCW, I could be watching MLW, whether it's on YouTube, whatever, like all these different platforms. And Dominic Garrini is on like almost every show that I watch when my brother's over. So to him, Dominic Garrini is like the king of independent wrestling because he's on the most stuff. When it comes to the Lucha Bros, it's kind of like that right now too, because when I watch AAA, the Lucha Brothers are on. So my brother sees them on AAA. When I watch AEW, my brother sees them on AEW. When I watch, classic Impact stuff through like Pluto TV or Twitch or whatever, like the Lucha Bros, and Pentagon in particular, a lot of the stuff a handful of years ago with Impact Wrestling, and then of course like various indie promotions and stuff. So I think my brother's been like really exposed to them. But every time they wrestle, he's like, this is the best match of the show. Like, every time they wrestle, like, even he recognizes, like, these guys are, like, just way better than most of the other people doing this.
Yeah. It takes a special kind of team to make someone like that, someone who's not who's not as versed in wrestling, to get them to notice that and to even recognize that. It's a testament to the Lucha Bros and their talent and their ability.
Yes. The one thing about them I don't like, I say it all the time, but it's just a personal thing. I think they do too many of these gimmicks. The Cerro Miedo thing, I think they just do it too much. And they cost them too often. Like, they're in like a winning position, and then they'll be like, Cerro Miedo! And then like their opponent will like reverse them. It's like, why do you take the time to do that? But my brother never complains about it. He just likes it for what it is. So it's like, I think there's a lot of people like that just don't care because the fans almost always do it with them. So, like, it gets a big pop.
Yeah. It's like a yes chant kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah. I just don't like how it costs them so often. Like, where, like, Pentagon will have someone in a package pile driver in between his legs and be like, it's like, all you gotta do is lift them up and drop them on their head, Pentagon, and the match is over. Just do the move. And then he's like, looks around and, like, takes his glove off his hand or whatever. And then by the time that he's done doing all that, he's been reversed. But regardless, like I said, Lucha Brothers, awesome. Glad to see them as the tag team champions. And the Young Bucks are, I mean, there are plenty of things for the Young Bucks to be doing right now without the titles as well. So plenty of options. And you mentioned Jurassic Express. I think Lucha Brothers and Jurassic Express will probably happen sooner than later too. That'll be really good.
Yes, it'll be good.
I know we got that for like the finals of the tournament, but like AEW does a really good job of like I don't think we'll get Lucha Brothers and Jurassic Express like next week, but if we got it in a couple months, there would be references to their match months ago.
The callbacks for sure.
Exactly. There's gonna be callbacks, and they space stuff out good enough. Like with WWE, for instance, you see the same match like 5 weeks in a row, or you'll see the same thing like 5 out of 6 weeks or 5 out of 7 weeks or whatever. It's like very predictable in a different way than AEW is predictable. Predictable in a way which makes the show boring, and you wind up 50-50 booking people over and over again, and nobody winds up hitting the next level because everyone just wins and loses. But in AEW, they've done a good job of like spacing this stuff. Like, we've seen Heyman lose to Kenny Omega multiple times, but they haven't wrestled each other one-on-one in like, since the tournament that Kenny won to become the champion. So it's going to be so much time between then that, like, when Hangman beats Kenny, if that's what happens, no one's going to be like, oh, they 50-50 it. Because, like, the match was, like, a year ago. Like, it isn't, it's much different when you're seeing it one week, then the next week, then the next week, then the next week, when they space it really well. So, yes, love it. Up next, we have Ruby Soho winning the 21-woman Casino Battle Royale. She will get a shot at Britt Baker for the AEW Women's Championship. How did you feel about this match, and how do you feel about the debut and the W for Ruby Soho?
This match worked just fine. I'm glad it was on the main card. I'm really, really happy for Ruby Soho. I feel like she deserves this. She's such a talented wrestler. I'm really excited to see where this goes. Just super happy for her. And you know what this match kind of proved to me is that AEW has a really good women's roster now. They've got a really, really good women's roster. They've got a lot of storylines that they could go with after this. And I feel like, it's nowhere to go but up for the AEW women's division. And I'm really happy that we got 2 women's matches on the card.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was able to showcase a lot of people on the show. The thing with Ruby Soho for me, I'm just going to be totally honest, like fully transparent. I'm kind of where I'm at with it. This is sink or swim, straight up. Like, you were brought in AEW. You're going to get a championship shot against the most over woman on the show, but not just that, one of the most over people in general on the entire show in Britt Baker. So, like, this is it. Like, any complaining that she may have done throughout, I'm not saying, like, her in particular. I'm just saying this kind of goes in general for all. This statement can be made about a lot of wrestlers right now. If you were unhappy where you were before, and you were vocal about it in any way, shape, or form, or you feel like you deserved more, or, you feel like you were underutilized or whatever, you're getting, like, she's a great example. You are getting a chance right now to sink or swim at the highest level, because you're getting put in a position where, like, if you go out there and you have a great match against Britt Baker, like, I expect Britt to retain, which I think she should. But if Soho goes in there and this is, like, a really good match, Soho, like, her dreams have come true. Like you're good to go from now on. Like, you're going to
prove the other company wrong.
Yeah, exactly. But I need to see that first. Like, I'm happy to see Ruby Soho in the company. It's not like I dislike Ruby Soho. I like her as much as the next person does. But all I've seen of her in the last handful of years is what I've seen on the WWE TV. I remember her as Heidi Lovelace, I think was her name, back on the Indies. And, like, she had a lot of buzz about her pre WWE, and I thought she was, like, pretty good, but, like, there's been just so many years now of her just being so, like, mediocre because of how she was presented on the WWE, that what I got out of this from All Out, though, was she came out, the crowd popped really big for her. She looked really good in what she needed to look good in. Like, the moves she needed to hit that were important to that match last night, she hit. Like, and that's all you can do, right? Like, it's a battle royal with 20-something people. Like, you're going to get a couple big spots. As long as you just hit those spots, like, that's all you can ask for.
Yep.
And she nailed them. Like, she hit her spots. So, she's getting put right in the fire. Like, if her match against Britt Baker is good, Ruby Soho is going to be one of, like, the upper mid-card to main event level women in AEW going forward. If the match isn't good, she could be proving a lot of her haters right. We don't know. We have to see how she does.
Yep.
But once again, the fact that she's getting the opportunity, that's what's important here. They're taking a chance. They're giving her a big opportunity. AEW or WWE never did this with her. You know what I mean? That's why I have to make this comparison, is because a lot of people wanted Ruby Soho as Ruby Riott to get a big push in WWE, and it just never happened. She's getting that push in AEW. So, we'll see what happens.
Yep.
And also shout out to Thunder Rosa,
Yes, that was so...
always looks good out there. Also, Sky Blue, cool to see her get an opportunity, hometown person. A lot of really good talent in that women's battle royal. Love Layla Hirsch. I mean, there's Jade Cargill is going to be a massive star for them once she is a little less green. She's going to get so good.
Mm-hmm.
So, great stuff. Like you said, Jessi, the future of the women's division is in really good hands. They'll continue to pepper in high level women over time. Like there's going to be more that will come in, and they have laid a very, very good foundation now. There was a couple years where people thought like that the women were like the weak part of the show and the company wasn't paying enough attention. It takes time sometimes, y'all. Like they when AEW started, they already had this base of male talent that was like world class. With the women, it was taking longer because they were having to take like mainly women from the indies that don't have the kind of experience and exposure so that you can even compare them to like Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, Bailey, and all that. You just can't. But now after a couple of years, now we start to hear like people talking about Britt Baker, like people wanted to see her and Deonna Purrazzo or her and Charlotte one day and all this stuff. Like we're getting there, y'all. So like no more complaints, in my opinion, from women's wrestling fans when it comes to AEW. Don't complain anymore. Like this is a solid roster, and it's going to continue to get better. And the wrestlers on the roster, they're going to continue to get better too, because a lot of them haven't even hit their prime yet. So,
Yep.
Just
bright.
Just stay patient with the women's division because it's looking really good right now.
Yes, Liam with a super chat. Liam is great. He didn't put anything there, but I'll tell you right now, subscribe to Liam's YouTube channel. He's a real sweet kid. He's got a hilarious Twitter. He always schools nerds. He's awesome. He's the coolest kid ever. Love you, Liam.
Thank you, Liam. We very much appreciate your super chat, man. And if you want to like ask a question or something, feel free to just put it in the regular chat. Since you sent a super chat without anything attached to it, we'll give you a little bit for your money there. After that, we had Chris Jericho over MJF. The stipulation was, obviously if Jericho lost, he was going to have to retire.
Flat as hell.
Huh?
His entrance was flat as hell.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, I feel like we should just get that right out of the way. So, I don't know if it was, I think it was I'm assuming the guitarist for Fozzy. I have no idea what the guy looks like. But that was probably him. They
needed a drummer.
Yeah. I appreciate the idea of what they were attempting to do, but the problem with doing it the way they did, it's really hard obviously when they did the no music thing with him and MJF before, the crowd knew ahead of time to be ready for that. Like they didn't have like the lyrics like up on a screen, but everyone had their phones out and stuff. Like people were ready for it. With this, it was badass to hear just like the guitar riff of the song. Like I thought that was pretty cool.
That was sweet.
But the problem was the fans didn't know it was coming, so they didn't know to be ready. So by the time they realized what was happening, like half the fans were already on like a different part of the song than the other part of the fans. And then on top of that, and I'm sure you know this from going to wrestling shows and concerts and stuff, and people in the chat will understand as well. Like, depending on how big the building is and how the sound bounces and like echoes, sometimes you think that you are on cue with the other side of the building, but you're actually a couple seconds behind because of the time it takes for the sound to travel. So it happens a lot in football games where there might be like a dueling chant and and you think you're on the same page, but you hear it on the TV and it just sounds like a mess because y'all think you're doing it together, but you're not. And that kind of happened with Jericho's entrance. Like, I think it was a mixture of all those things. The fans weren't ready, the sound bouncing, them thinking they were all at the same spot. And then the sad thing was the very clear cue when it was like the, what have I become part? Like, they were all off. So, like, no, it just didn't sound right. It just didn't work. It didn't
sound right. Guitar sounded way too loud on television.
That's a good point as well. Yeah. Yeah. So, I appreciate the effort and the idea. That would have been real sad if that was Jericho's last match and that's how it kicked off.
Really sad.
But that said, got it out of the way. I've said it plenty of times. I'm not afraid to say it. Like, Chris Jericho is my favorite wrestler of all time. Like, if I had gun to my head, someone said, like, you got to choose one, it'd be Chris Jericho. I thought that this match was really, really good.
Yes.
Um,
How did you feel about the restart?
I don't. So in general, I don't love the idea of doing that. Not just in this match, but in any match. It's just really overdone. I remember, like, the first time I remember getting really upset about it was back in, it was probably 1998. Someone in the chat will know that for sure, but it was Roddy Piper versus Hulk Hogan. And Roddy Piper beat Hogan, but it turned out that his foot was under the ropes and the match restarted. And I remember even then, because I was probably like 8 years old or maybe 10 years old. I remember then being like, this is bullshit. Like that shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
Like, what? And, but
The announcers were like, this is bullshit.
yeah. So, you know, and one, so in there, but here's overall, like, really why I have an issue with that kind of stuff is because there's no consistency. Like, we see a lot of stuff where people's feet are on the ropes or someone gets low blowed or whatever, and another referee doesn't come out and do anything about it.
Yeah, I feel like, and I agree. I don't like it done a lot. There's a lot of problems with it. There's a lot of plot holes that happen because of it. But I felt like because this was supposedly Jericho's last match, I feel like there was a lot more weight put on this. And I feel like it kind of warranted that kind of extra analysis by the other official.
Yeah.
However, I see it done a lot. And I don't think that it needs to be done a lot.
Yeah. Kogan says 1997. I think you're right, Kogan, for the Piper Hogan match that I'm referring to. The thing that they did here too, Jessi, is they and once again, this goes against what I generally like about certain stuff about wrestling, but like in this sense, and I know I'm biased because it's Jericho, and I love MJF. I was a huge supporter of MJF before he was in AEW. Like, I got to see him live in front of, like, 15 people in Nashville years ago. Like, when he was still doing Fosbury.
I remember you told that story,
Oh,
yeah.
He was doing, like, Fosbury flops to the outside. So, like, the guy can do some pretty crazy moves. He just doesn't anymore because he wants the heat. But, like, I've seen a lot of MJF over the years in his very short career. I'm biased. I'm a very big fan of both of these guys. So what I'm about to say kind of goes against how I generally feel about this stuff, but in this case, I liked the false finish with the foot on the rope, and I liked the 50-50 booking because they pretty much 50-50'd in one match, because they made it look like I honestly think the big goal of that, on top of what you just said about how when it's Jericho's career was on the line, so you like the added drama is there, but this also protects MJF because he's always going to have the out of being like, I pinned him for 3 seconds on the mat. Like, I got screwed over on some technicality. So you basically saw MJF win and Chris Jericho win in the same match. So, and then at the end of the day, MJF's like they say he was 0-3 against Jericho also going into, or 3-0 against Jericho going into this, which I don't fully agree with either because they count the Blood and Guts match, but they don't count Stadium Stampede.
Huh.
You know what I mean? Because, like, MJF beat Inner Circle or Pinnacle beat Inner Circle in Blood and Guts, but Inner Circle beat Pinnacle in Stadium Stampede, but they seem to not ever mention that. So, just want to throw that out there. But regardless, to answer your question, Jessi, I in this particular case, I didn't mind how it all went down, but in general, I don't usually like finishes like that. Yeah. So, how do you feel about Jericho keeping his career, though? Are you excited to see? Because, I mean, there's still a lot of stuff you can do.
Oh, yeah, and I'm totally fine with that. And Corey's super chat, thank you so much, Corey, kind of goes along the lines of this. Jericho isn't going to retire at the high time of wrestling. You guys are awesome. It was Super Brawl Steven Hogan versus Piper. Thank you so much, Corey. You rock. Love you, Corey. Jericho definitely is not going to retire at the high time of wrestling, but he did convince us that he could just stick on commentary, but thank God. But yeah, this is the best time to be a professional wrestling fan, and I think Jericho wants to be a part of it.
Yeah, I agree. And there's just so many options. I've talked about it before. Like, the dude got his feet wet in a death match against Nick Gage. If he wanted to, he could just show up in GCW. Like, I mean, why not? We're living in that world. They're doing a Corazon, or I can't say the name, Lionheart in Spanish. Corazon de Leon. Corazon de Leon.
Corazon.
they're doing one of his, like, AEW's making throwback figures for guys. Like, they're calling luminaries.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, they're making a Jericho pre ECW, pre WCW Mexico / Japan version of Chris Jericho for an action figure. Like, awesome. Tim Last mentions in the chat, he says that he wishes that MJF's first loss was on a less predictable show. You got to keep in mind, Tim, that wasn't MJF's first loss. He lost to Jon Moxley for the title.
Oh, I was there for that.
Yeah, and that was like, you know,
that was All Out last year.
Yeah, good call. Yeah. He may have lost. I can't remember if he's been pinned by anyone else, but he definitely lost to Moxley. That may have been it though. But it wasn't his first loss, is my point. But the other thing about it though, Tim, is like, as far as the way AEW is presenting this, MJF is now 3-1 against Jericho. Is how they're spinning it. So, you know, people can say Jericho won the feud at the end of the day because he keeps his career, but like, the record book's going to show that MJF has Chris Jericho's number. So this works on a lot of levels. Up next, we had CM Punk making his return to the pro wrestling ring for the first time in 7 years, getting the win over Darby Allin. How do you feel about this one, Jessi? How do you think CM Punk looked out there, and how do you feel about him beating Darby in his return?
I was very nervous going into this. I was very, very scared that it would not deliver. I knew initially CM Punk was going to have, you know, some cobwebs to dust off, and I feel like I said, for this whole pay-per-view, this match was paced very, very well. The one spot I loved was when he hit the go to sleep, the GTS, and then Darby fell on the outside.
Yeah.
That a really, really good spot. Was that a GTS? That was
yeah,
GTS.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he sold it under the middle and bottom rope, just right through him.
Yes, I thought that was a perfect spot for a guy who just came back after 7 years. And I feel this match really solidified to me how good Darby Allin is and how perfect of a feud Darby Allin was for CM Punk, because CM Punk looked great with Darby Allin in there. I felt like by the end of it, CM Punk was fully back. I think that CM Punk winning was the right call here. Loved the end, loved the handshakes, loved the mutual respect, loved Sting getting in there. I thought this match was just what it needed to be. It was as advertised, and it was very well paced.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I thought it was... I don't know if interesting is the right word, but he was wearing like the full wrestling pants. He's never worn those before.
Yeah.
But I do like... Wrestlers do that throughout their career, though. The ones that continue to reinvent themselves. A lot of time at some point in a wrestler's career, if they've been around long enough, they'll switch from like the trunks to the pants to the Speedo to whatever. Like, they'll switch it up a little bit over their career. I thought it was a good look for Punk, though. Like, I was hoping he was going to wear his fight shorts like he used to in Ring of Honor. But at the same time, it's like, this is a totally new version of what CM Punk is. So yeah. I like it. I like the change.
Me too.
And it gives him more real estate to put stuff that he wants. I mean, that's one giant advantage of wearing pants, is like you can put more design and stuff. You have more room to put logos and whatnot all over them.
Yes, for sure.
One thing I really liked about this match is they didn't play into Punk's MMA run at all. What I think is smart, like, because I'll be honest, like, so CM Punk was on commentary for, I guess it was Rampage, for Daniel Garcia and Darby Allin. And at one point in the match, I can't remember who had who, but like, we'll just say Punk had Garcia in a rear naked choke. He was trying to put him in a sleeper, basically. And Punk was on commentary, and he was like, yeah, it looks like, you know, Garcia's rear naked choke defense isn't very good, blah, 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 blah. And he was like critiquing his submission defense, basically. And all I was thinking was like, bro, you tapped out to this move when you're fighting. like, you got choked out by a rear naked choke and tapped out. Like, you're not the right person to be having these conversations. But
Right.
but that being said, what I was worried about in a match like this was, like, I thought he might come out and instead of doing, because I thought it was good how he did a lot of, like, pro wrestling. He put him in like a stretch, and he put him in a headlock, and he was doing, like, wrestling stuff. It would have been strange to me if he came out there and like Darby Allin standing there and CM Punk's out there like throwing, like, you know, spinning back fists again or like, you know, like using his footwork and trying to get like a single leg takedown and all this. It was like, so I thought the move choices from Punk were really smart because, like, it reestablished him as a professional wrestler and not what I was afraid of like some hybrid MMA UFC guy, because, like, you can pull that off if you're good in the UFC, but CM Punk's run was so bad that, like, it had. So my point is, this was done perfectly in my opinion. Like, I think everything was done perfectly. CM Punk winning was smart. The moves he used were smart. Darby Allin looked awesome in defeat. CM Punk or Sting let his son Darby go out there and do it on his own. And after the match, he came in and told his son how proud he was of him for his effort. You know, so it was like, it was just, this is good stuff all the way around. Punk winds up shaking both their hands. We're living in a world where Sting and CM Punk are in the ring together shaking hands. I mean, this is insane.
So wild.
So yeah, can't say enough good things about it. I thought this match was awesome. I thought this was the perfect return match for CM Punk. Could not have gone better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And Darby Allin was the perfect opponent.
Yes.
So, and the great thing about Darby is, like, everyone's talking so highly of him. When they did the post-fight press conference with Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson and CM Punk and all those guys, they're all mentioning Darby every chance they can. Like, he's going to be the face of that company soon enough.
Yeah, for sure.
So, awesome stuff. 2 thumbs up.
For sure. After
that, we had the match that was put here specifically to get the crowd to come down a little bit before they came back up for the main event.
This was the break.
Yeah.
You saw everyone leaving to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, this was like at WrestleMania 30 when I was there in New Orleans when Brock Lesnar beat Undertaker for the streak, and everybody was like, had no idea what was happening, right? And then the next match was this, like, women's tag match or something that I legitimately don't even remember happening. Like, I only know of it because, like, when I look at the lineup for the card, it's like it's there, but I don't remember it at all because everyone was so in shock over what happened that no one was even paying attention to the match. And then the next match was Bryan Danielson winning the world title. But that was like the buffer, right? It was like this weird, like, match that nobody cared about. That's how I felt about this as well.
I not give 2 rat's asses about this match. It was short. It was sweet. The finish was fine. It was there to let everyone chill the hell out for a second. And it was fine. It wasn't unnecessary. It was just there.
Yeah, this established a couple of things for me. One is that I really don't need to see the Big Show wrestling anymore. Like, if he's gonna do it every now and then, that's fine. Like, if it's a novelty thing, you know, no problem with that. But I don't want to see him as, like, a regular part of the show. He just doesn't do it for me at this point. QT Marshall, I think, overachieves consistently, like, based on what you're expecting. I think he does pretty good. And once again, Big Show's like Paul White. He's one of the best big men of all time. Like, for his size, the things he's accomplished, like, he is one of the best quote-unquote big men ever. But one thing I'll say that I liked, when he hit the choke slam at the end of the match, he went down to a knee with it like he used to. Like, he rarely does that anymore because it's really hard on his body. But he went all the way down, showstopper style. I liked that, even though he went down a little more gingerly than he used to. But I can't get over, I'm not gonna lie, I can't get over the theme song for the Big Show for Paul White. Yeah,
that's all you.
It sounds like if Trey Parker and Matt Stone from South Park were parodying the old Big Show WWE music.
Well, that's all you need. You need just the whirl.
Well, I'm not the Big Show.
There's a YouTube video out there where it's just the whirl for like 10 hours.
Yeah. That's such a waste of time for somebody to do that.
Such a brilliant time.
That's so funny. I'm not the Big Show anymore. No more BS.
No more beers.
But hey, I will say this. I'm happy that the Big Show is still involved. Like, I'm sure he had a freaking blast doing this.
Oh, yeah.
And good on him. Like I said, as a novelty, a couple times a year, no problem with something like this from the Big Show. As something regular, I don't see this holding up super well if it's a regular thing. But I don't expect it to be a regular thing. So
Yeah, me either.
perfectly placed to bring the crowd was super hyped for CM Punk. Gets to chill out for a little bit, and then super hyped for the main event, which was Kenny Omega retaining the AEW World Championship over Christian Cage. In my opinion, a really damn good match. Kenny Omega sells the kill switch better than anyone I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
I mean, and that's the reason that's so important to me is because the kill switch is a goofy move. It just is. And I'm pretty or whatever you want to call it. It's a goofy move. The setup's strange. The idea, I'm not saying I dislike the move, by the way, but the idea that you could take somebody and turn them the way that Christian turns them, and then have them behind you with your arm, like, it's such an unbelievable move. Like, as far as, like, this would never, ever, ever work in real life. Like, a lot of wrestling moves wouldn't, but a lot of them would. Like, you'd be surprised at how often someone in, like, the UFC actually uses a move that I've seen in pro wrestling before. But the Unprettier is not one of them. Now, the reason I say all this is because in the context of professional wrestling, it's a cool-looking move. There's a lot of goofy, unrealistic elements to it. But at the end of the day, it's a pretty cool move because it's unique. Christian's the first person I've ever seen use it. But the problem I've always had with it is the landing from the opponents. Because once Christian gets you there, a lot of people don't know how to fall to make it look good. So Christian usually loses them on the way down. They just kind of have to like face plant or like land on their side or with like a knee up or whatever. Kenny Omega just face plants into the side of his face every time. Like, it's perfect. Yeah.
So perfect. It's really a testament to how good Kenny Omega is.
It really is. Kenny Omega, like the selling of that move, because he'll land face first while his legs are still up in the air. So like it just looks like he's just eating it right into the ground. So Kenny Omega deserves a lot of credit for that.
He does because he sells the paradigm shift really well too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. The things Kenny Omega is doing, like, he really, in my opinion right now, he's the best wrestler in the world in any company.
Zero question.
So, yeah, this was really good stuff. Christian, hats off to Christian. Like,
yeah, dude can kill.
Yeah, for a guy who was out for, like, 7 years himself, I mean, and he's always been talked about so highly from the other wrestlers about how great he is in the ring and how smart he is and how good of a wrestling mind he is and how underutilized he always was throughout his whole career. It's good to see him get moments like this because, he's still the Impact champion. Him and Ace Austin's going to be fire in Impact. And he's got a lot of good stuff going on. He's still going to be really involved with AEW, involved with Impact. Like, this is a great time to be Christian Cage. But Kenny Omega had to retain this title, especially because of what happened after the match. So any thoughts on this match? Then we'll talk about the aftermath a little bit, and we'll get out of here because I know I've already run longer than what. Yeah, I know we were trying to do about an hour. We're looking at about an hour and a half. So
it's all right. No, I thought this match was good. I think I liked the Rampage match better, but this match for what it was, especially because it was more about what was going to happen afterwards, and it was more about what happened before it. 2 matches before it, I feel like it delivered just fine. It was, like I said, it was predictable, but it was good. That top rope one-winged angel was insane. That was the top rope. Didn't he do it off the top rope?
Christian was sitting on the top rope. Omega did it from the second rope, but I mean, it was an incredible finish. Yeah,
it looked really cool. And I feel like it kind of needed like a big finish like that, especially after that Rampage match. I thought it was great. Obviously, what happened afterwards was game changing. But like you said, hats off to Christian. Hats off to Kenny Omega for putting on an absolute banger of a main event. And Kenny Omega is still your champion.
Kenny Omega wins. Great match, great finish. Christian looks great, even though he lost. And you could say that about every loser of this show. Anyone who lost was elevated, even though they lost. Like,
Yeah.
there's a way to do it. It's totally possible, and AEW is doing it. After the match, you know, the Young Bucks are beating down Christian. Jurassic Express, a couple others, like, go out to the ring. They're getting beat down by the Elite and all that stuff, and the lights go out after Adam Cole mentions, like, or after Kenny Omega mentions, like, anybody who could possibly be beaten for this title is either, I think he said something like retired or dead. One of the,
Yeah.
but the last thing he said was dead, and right when he said dead, I was like, Adam Cole's coming, like, because they killed Adam Cole on being the Elite. He's a ghost. So you knew right when he said that dead, I was like, oh my god, like, this is gonna be. And then in my mind I'm thinking, damn, everyone was expecting Bryan Danielson, but they still got Danielson, like, he's still coming, but, like, this is still huge. And the lights go out, Adam Cole comes out, his new music's awesome, like, this is gonna fit him perfect. And he comes out, he teases fighting the Elite, and then super kicks Jungle Boy, and he's like, what do you guys expect? These guys are my best friends.
Yeah. Great.
This was so good, and they picked up right where they left. Like, this is the squad from 5 years ago.
That's best friends when they can pick up right where they left off.
Yeah, this is incredible stuff. So this has all happened, and then Kenny's doing his "I bid you adieu, good night," or
Goodbye,
mwah, good night, bang, or whatever he does, and out comes Bryan Danielson, and oh my god! Now, when the music initially hit, I was like, oh, they're using this WWE song, because, like, I know it's unlicensed, and, you know, everyone was expecting to hear the
Yeah.
but once again, we've already talked about it. For whatever reason, they couldn't get the song. I can get past that, though, because we have Bryan Danielson in AEW. It's real. It happened. Adam Cole is in AEW. It's real. It happened. There's more coming. What?
Is here. Ruby Soho is here. It's game changing.
Yeah, this is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I love this pay-per-view. I love the ending. I loved all the debuts. I know there's recency bias is a real thing. Oh, and thank you, Corey. I did call it, didn't I? Thank you, buddy, for the shout out there. But the recency bias is real. Like, that's a real thing. But honestly, and once I'm gonna have to revisit this in a few weeks, but the way I'm feeling about it right now, this is legitimately one of the best pro wrestling pay-per-views I've ever watched. And
For sure.
yeah, and I don't say that lightly. I have watched hundreds, if not, like, potentially thousands at this point, between, if you count, like, indie shows and all that stuff, like, thousands of these kind of shows, right? And this was as good as you're gonna see. I mean, and the crazy thing is, because of the roster they've built and the people behind this company, there's no reason to think that this won't happen the next pay-per-view. Like, it's gonna keep happening. We're gonna keep getting super high level stuff, and the Forbidden Door and everything involved there. I mean, there's just so much good stuff going on, and this is what I'll end it on for my thoughts on the show, and then I'll pass it to you for your closing thoughts on it. But this is, I think this is the most realistic way to look at what's happening right now in the world of wrestling / sports entertainment. WWE is a massive brand name. They are a brand name in that logo, similar to like a McDonald's or a Coca-Cola or whatever. They are. I don't know if AEW will ever be the brand name that WWE is. I don't know. I don't know if it's even possible. Now, you always talk about it, the direction WWE is going, you know. that's the direction they're going. Is where they're headed towards, more children's programming, all that stuff. Which, once again, I've said 1,000 times. If I was a kid and Sting teamed up with the Power Rangers and I was 6 years old, that would have been the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. So like, I don't knock the WWE for going the direction they're going. I don't like it as someone who's in my 30s, but I also have the options to just watch other stuff. If I was a little kid, I'd be super hyped up on what's happening on WWE right now. So, but that all said, I think it's very fair at this point to make the distinction that WWE in the world, the landscape of all whatever all this is, WWE is the biggest brand name in entertainment when it comes to this entertainment. But the best professional wrestling company in the world right now is AEW. When you're talking strictly professional wrestling, I don't think it's even close what AEW is doing right now versus what WWE is doing. So enjoy the ride, y'all. Like, it is unreal that, like, 10 years ago, even if someone would have told me this would happen, I would have never believed it. Like, this is insane what we're getting from AEW right now. So once again, just enjoy the ride, because we are seeing a legitimate revolution happening in the world of professional wrestling, and AEW is at the forefront of it, and they're bringing all these other companies along with them. So, incredible stuff. I rarely give ratings out for shows, but this was like a 9.8 out of 10. Like, I mean, I can't give anything a 10 out of 10, I don't think, because I got to give some sort of room if something better comes along. But this is as good as it's going to get. Like, it is a 9.8 out of 10. I mean, this is like, I rarely go past like a 7.5 on a review. Like, this is like a 9.8. So, Jessi, closing thoughts, and then we'll get out of here.
I feel like AEW is the best professional wrestling company in the world, and I think something that really, the reason that the deal, this massive kind of come over, a lot of them, most of them, they didn't assign like right what they need to grow. And the did, they proved that they could have, right? AEW has proven in 2 years now. They proved that they aren't just a fad. They're not just a wrestling company that's a flash in the pan. They proved that they're a slow burn and that they're here to stay. And I feel like it's resonated with not only the fans, but more importantly, the talent and the pool of talent that's out there. And with this big kind of shift that you just saw right now in this moment, this will be a historic moment for the history books in the world of professional wrestling. And like you said, I really don't even want to compare it to WWE at this point, because they're both kind of doing their own thing. So I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it, because it's much fun right now, and I don't want anything to take away from that.
Yeah, for sure. And I can't stress it enough. If you like shows, watch them. Like, if you like what WWE's doing, watch it. If you like what AEW's doing, watch it. If you like what GCW's doing, watch it. If you like what IW TV's doing, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, MLW, CMLL, AAA, whatever. I can go on and on. New Japan Pro Wrestling. If you like it, watch it. That's simple. There's a lot of options. It's the best time ever to be a pro wrestling fan. We got a last second super chat from an account it's in a scripture here that I cannot read. But I really, really appreciate the super chat. It says love from Dubai. So, dude, I say dude. I don't know if this is a man, woman, non-binary. I have no idea. But whoever you are from Dubai, thanks for watching. That's incredible.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Much love to Dubai.
Yeah. This is wild. I know. I wonder if you're an MMA fan also. If you're new to this chat, if you like MMA, make sure to follow me over. We'll plug all our stuff, but make sure to follow me on Twitter, because there's a lot of really big MMA fans in Dubai as well. So yeah, this is Tim says Jessi using that Sprint phone. You were cutting a little in and out on your final thoughts.
Oh,
people were giving you crap for your cell phones. No, most of it came through though.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not going to take the time to put all the sponsor stuff on here, because I know we gotta rush out. So I'm just going to say this real quick. Jessi, actually, go ahead and plug all your stuff real quick. Then I can do my stuff really quick before we get out of here.
Well, I was just gonna say, use my Papa John's pizza code Jessi25. Me and Jamie are gonna record our K Babes podcast later today. Make sure to go to iTunes, search K Babes, give us a 5-star review if you'd like, and follow us there. And subscribe to the YouTube channel because that's when you know we'll go live. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. We love our chat. Thank you so much for the super chats and the likes and the love in the chat. We really appreciate our chat and really glad to see all these new faces in the chat. And we love you guys. And so just give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.
Hell yeah. And person from Dubai, let us know your name in the chat if you're still seeing this because I'd like to be able to refer to you as, know your name so that I'm not like just saying Dubai person. If I could read your username, I would, but I can't. Although I do want to learn another language soon. Like I've really, really been teetering on trying to learn Japanese. So
Duolingo, have that app, Duolingo. I've been learning Japanese on that.
Oh, have you? Has it been working?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Hajimashite.
Hajimashite. I think it's nice to meet you.
I know that line from Three Ninjas Kick Back. They say that when they meet the Japanese people. That's so funny. Make sure to subscribe to Jessi's OnlyFans. I don't know if you plugged that or not just now.
No. But yeah, please do.
Yes, I got it highlighted on the screen for y'all right now. So check out our OnlyFans. If y'all want to follow me on Twitter, I am at FightTalk _ FIGHT TALK _
Ew.
One Man Show Podcast.
That's the person in Dubai.
Is that his name?
I guess that's what he wants us to plug.
Okay, I'll call One Man Show Podcast. Okay, well, there you go. And he subscribed to the channel. Thank you very much. So yeah, normally I put all the sponsor stuff up on the screen. Me and Jessi have already run long, and thank you, Jessi, because I know we were trying to get it like an hour, but a lot to get to. Just make sure to support the sponsors of the show. Support Music City Toys and Collectibles. Get your pro wrestling memorabilia from them. Nice people, fair business. They have a location at 101 West Main Street in Watertown, Tennessee. Check out all their social media at Music City Toys and at Music City Toys and their website at musiccitytoys.biz. Make sure to check out WrestleRumble.com, the place to be for fantasy pick'em contests for professional wrestling and giant giveaways. They're always giving away belts and prizes and money and awesome stuff. That's at WrestleRumble.com. Make sure to follow them on all social media at WrestleRumble to stay up to date with their contests and their raffles. Shout out to my brother Bryan Danielson. Follow him on Instagram at BoxingATL, BoxingATL. He can help you with a wide variety of stuff from losing weight to competing professionally or at an amateur level, even neurological issue. Doesn't matter what age you are or what skill level you are. If you have even like dystonia or Parkinson's or anything like that, Bryan is certified in a wide variety of things. Once again, all ages are welcome. All skill levels are welcome. Bryan can help you in person in Atlanta, Georgia at the gym he owns, Steel Boxing and Athletics. Or he can meet you in person if you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area at your business, in a park, at your house, whatever. Or he can do Zoom calls, Skype meetings remotely to anywhere in the world. So once again, follow him on Instagram at BoxingATL, BoxingATL. Get a knockout workout without getting knocked out. And with all of our sponsors, if you hit them up and say, me and Jessi sent you their way, I promise you get a really good deal. And also use my code FIGHTTALK, FIGHT, TALK, all is one word, no space, on independentwrestling.tv or IWTV.live, and help support this channel. And you can watch a lot of great independent professional wrestling there. So that's going to do it for me. Jessi, anything last second before we sign off of here?
Great time to be a wrestling fan. Had lots of fun.
Yes, best time ever to be a fan of professional wrestling. If y'all are watching this and want to hop over, I'll be on the True Heel Heat podcast. We're doing a round table in about 15-20 minutes. I'll put a link up on my Twitter once we're live, so just keep a lookout for that. Once again, at 12 p.m. Eastern time, so we're going to jump over there, talk more All Out. I'll be doing my show with Doug tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern, live rounds. And then me and Jessi will be back sometime either later this week or early next week. So that said, enjoy more pro wrestling. Best time ever to be a wrestling fan, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.